Hey guys, so this is my first video on QUBIC for a while. It's been about a week and a half since I did a video. Sorry about that. I've just been very busy, but I've lots of stuff to catch you up on QUBIC. I'm still super bullish on this project. I'm going to share with you all the latest news in this video. So let's get into it. So yeah, first thing guys, it's getting hard to keep up with all the exchange listings that are happening with QUBIC now, but they're very, very strategically aiming their exchange listings and listing on new exchanges all over the world and building that liquidity and making it easier to buy QUBIC. They've still got two more major exchange listings coming up soon, so it's going to be exciting to see what those are. I'm expecting that one of them is going to be MEXC. I'm not sure what's going to be next. And then as this year progresses and we get the white paper, we get some of those scientific papers, expect that we'll be pushing towards getting those tier one exchange listings. They're coming in the future. So then some other updates that we had from QUBIC, really exciting, kind of mysterious one that I saw is that QUBIC is testing for a new reward system. As I said, I'm not sure what this means, but it sounds positive. They shared that on their Discord that a new reward mechanism will commence testing will commence soon. So that's going to be interesting to see what that means. But we have no other information on that yet. But I'm going to tell you about another reward system that's coming up with QUBIC soon, later in this video as well. And then for some reason I posted the exact same thing here. And I'm not sure what I was meant to post there, but I'm sure it was pretty interesting. I'll get back to it I think what I was meant to post there, and if it pops up later in the video, we'll know that I just forgot completely what was here. I think that I was posting that QUBIC is now, so they launched on one of these exchanges, I can't remember, I think it was Bit2Me they've launched on, and that means now that there's a fiat on-ramp and off-ramp for QUBIC, and also you can make purchases using a MasterCard. You can actually spend your QUBIC in shops now and purchase using your QUBIC in shops, which is a really big deal. You'd be crazy to do that because QUBIC will be worth a lot more in the future, but it's bringing more liquidity to QUBIC, bringing more use cases, and that's a really big deal. And I think that is the clip that I was meant to put there, so I really messed that up. You can see how quick I fire these things together these days. So then, really interesting news from QSilver here. And what they shared here is introduction and an unofficial guide on writing QUBIC smart contracts. And there's, the aim of this guide was to provide a clear and concise overview of how to develop and implement smart contracts within the QUBIC ecosystem, drawing from the core QPI documentation. This is a really big deal because what they're trying to do here, and they're obviously going to make more official papers on this soon, but they're trying to, QUBIC's expanding so quickly, and now they're just trying to release it out there and let any person who is interested in the QUBIC network and is seeing that's feeless for them to operate on, and that it's super quick for them to operate off, and it's secure and it's decentralized. Now anyone who wants to build smart contracts right now on QUBIC can just follow this guide and start releasing their smart contracts right now. This is such a big deal with QUBIC because I love CAS, right? And I'm not putting CAS down here saying this, but you've got to remember that CAS right now is talking about releasing smart contracts and working on that, but it hasn't actually developed that functionality yet. QUBIC already has that functionality, and it's already as decentralized, as secure, and as scalable as CAS, possibly even more scalable. They're two super great projects. It's not a competition. I'm not dissing CAS. When I talk about CAS in another video, I mentioned QUBIC. I'm not dissing QUBIC. I'm just saying that these are two super projects, and CAS is getting so much recognition now. Imagine where QUBIC can go as well, being in some respects further on, and some of its development in some respects being a little bit behind CAS in other respects. And then, when we think of that ecosystem that's building on top of QUBIC already, well, we've got My Last Match, a computer game, the first computer game that's going to be launching on QUBIC probably within a year. There's not many other networks in that early phase that have computer games launching on them already, and I have a feeling this is going to be a good computer game. Then we've QPool, and QPool is going to give you the opportunity to earn passive income out of your QUBIC. So you'll actually be able to stake your QUBIC in QUBIC pools and earn passive income that way, which is something I think we've all been crying out for. We've got our QUBIC sitting there in our wallets doing nothing, but that's going to come soon. That's going to be a really interesting thing, going to add more liquidity to the QUBIC ecosystem as well. And then we've got QLaunch, which is a really easy way for people just to launch tokens on the QUBIC network. And that's going to bring, really build out the ecosystem and bring way more builders to the QUBIC network as well. So the point that I'm trying to get here is that all this is happening, and I just want to compare it to CAS again, because CAS is pumping like crazy right now, and there's so much good going on about it, and it's a great project. But CAS doesn't, in its early phase, have any of this stuff going on. And for me, CAS and QUBIC are the two leaders now in decentralized projects. I just think they're so out there and so just great projects. And I haven't explored every project in detail, so I don't know them all in detail. But from what I can see, they're like the two leaders right now. So, and QUBIC's doing this and CAS isn't yet, but CAS is pumping. And what I'm trying to say is not putting CAS down. What I'm trying to say is that QUBIC, imagine how it can get there and start getting those pumps soon as well. So this is a really, really big deal in my opinion. Again, you got to be buying both CAS and QUBIC in my opinion. If you're educating yourself in these cryptocurrencies and you're really digging deep into it and educating yourself on them, you can't deny either of them. They both look great. CAS looks like the safer bet right now. QUBIC a little bit more risky, but it's delivering on its promises, and if its price action starts reflecting those promises and they can just get this burns mechanism to work correctly, it's gonna fly up in my opinion. But I really want to see that burn mechanism being a bit more successful soon. And then the other thing that they've launched here this week was Quottery. So this has been worked on quite a while, but this is a really, really cool thing. Again, so computer game, a unique thing that a lot of layer one projects don't have. Then you've got your liquidity pools, which so a lot of projects still don't have. Then we've got our launch pad, and now we've got Quottery, and this is really cool because this is a decentralized betting app, so you can bet on anything, anytime, and bet with your QUBIC. I'm sure you can bet with other cryptos, or will be able to eventually, but you can bet on things like, will Bitcoin reach its all-time high of at least 15% by April 20th? QUBIC will hit a 20 billion market cap in 2024. Bitcoin to reach all-time high by at least 15%. Like all these things that we can bet on. You can bet on the euros. Basically, you can bet on anything, or you can set up any type of bet, and it's completely decentralized. And I think that's just crazy cool and interesting to see. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this plays out. Then we've got some things that I was just sharing. So some FUD that I was quashing. So if you watched my last video, it was like an hour long talking all about QUBIC and how it could be. It's just so big what this could be, and how major corporations like Google and Microsoft are most likely going to want to work with QUBIC in the future. And if you haven't seen that video, I really recommend checking it out, especially if you're a QUBIC investor or thinking about being a QUBIC investor. I think that video just summarizes everything that you need to know about QUBIC and need to know about the future and the potential of the project. But then some comments that I got after on the videos were, legitimate ones, but it was just people saying things like, why? I'll read through this for a second. So I just said, a common piece of FUD I've been hearing lately about QUBIC relates to the fact that some QUBIC competitors are also using miners' energy in a useful proof of work model. So you get projects like DNX, Render, NMT, that, just to name a few, they're taking miners' energy and they're using the GPU and CPU, or just GPU actually. As far as I know, QUBIC's the only one using the CPU, but these other projects are using the GPU, and then they're using that GPU and either selling it or using it to render videos in the case of Render, or they're using it to solve real world problems. And basically what people have been saying is that they're like, well, you shared all this information about QUBIC, but what about all these other projects doing the same thing? You haven't even mentioned that. So I was just addressing that point here. So I just went on to say that I shared some posts like the one below and videos describing why QUBIC's useful proof of work model will make it very attractive to major tech companies like Google and Microsoft. And that's the video, that my last video, where it was about an hour long. I'm going to share that at the end of this video, that you guys, I really recommend watching it after this video. But I was just sharing why these major tech companies would want to work with QUBIC. And I said then that I think the point was well received and most people could see why this will make QUBIC huge. But many people quite rightly ask, because, there's no wrong questions here. It's just people sometimes not realizing maybe the bigger picture of things. And they just said, what about the other projects that are doing the same? So it's not even fair to call it FUD. I don't think any of these people were being nasty in what they're saying or anything. They're just saying, there's other projects that are doing this, so QUBIC isn't unique. And then I go on to say here, which is a fair question, but also it's becoming like a FUD line now. And I'm not, it's becoming like FUD because a good few people are saying it, and you can just see it as causing fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So I went on to say then, so let me break down why other useful proof of work projects won't have a major effect on QUBIC. So firstly, there aren't that many strong useful proof of work projects out there right now. Some of the best ones are NMT, Render, DNX, Filecoin, and there are other deep-in projects that similarly use mining energy for other solutions. But even if all these projects are successful, so that first point, there's just not that many competitor projects out there. There's not that many other projects doing this right now. So any project that's doing this right now is very early phase and is one of the kind of first movers on this. But even if all these projects are successful, QUBIC will still be successful because they have already, really important, they have built a supercomputer that will be useful to major tech companies. There's room for many successful projects. So the key point that I'm trying to make there is that even if all these projects are really successful, if they're getting all this mining energy and building themselves like a distributed data center, all of them can be successful. The same way that right now we've got Google data centers, we've got Amazon data centers, we've got Microsoft data centers. All these projects can be successful together. So it's not like one has to win and the others will fail. They can all be major winners here. Then I go on to say that secondly, QUBIC is a layer 0/layer 1 project. Nearly none of its useful proof of work competitors are. Projects like NMT and Render are layer 2 projects. And basically, every one of these projects that are useful proof of work, they're not layer 1 projects. They're built on top of Ethereum or Solana or some other chain like that. But QUBIC is its own layer 1 chain. So QUBIC as a layer 0 or 1 can link other blockchains together. It can then link layer 2s, and decentralized apps can be built on top of it, and it can run smart contracts. DNX is a layer 1 as well, but it is nowhere near as performative as QUBIC. It's not, it doesn't solve the trilemma like QUBIC does. I'm not sure can QUBIC, or with DNX, can you run smart contracts on it yet? I don't want to FUD DNX because it looks like a great project too, but I'm not sure is there many decentralized apps being built on it. I don't think you've got apps like Quottery here, MLM, QPool, QLaunch, all launching on it. QDex launching on it. But again, I don't want to FUD DNX too much because I don't know major details about it. I think it's going to be a very successful project, but I don't think it's doing 40 million transactions per second either, or feeless transfers, or building AI. So, for that reason, QUBIC as a layer 1, even without the useful proof of work element, even if it didn't have that, this is a great project, a super project, just based on its fundamentals alone. And that brings us on to the third reason why QUBIC is the most outstanding useful proof of work project, in my opinion, but I think it really is. QUBIC is the most performative layer 1/0 out there. It's more decentralized and secure than Bitcoin, while being the fastest crypto project out there. It solves the trilemma and allows for feeless transactions. And not only that, it is gathering all that mining power. And not only is it gathering all that mining power, but it is using it to train AI and aiming to create the first artificial general intelligence, which is a truly unique angle. None of these other projects are doing this. I mean, Tau is to some extent, but Tau isn't as focused on the AGI element. And again, there's room for Tau appears to be a great project too. I've bought some. But Tau and QUBIC, they are competitors, but the two of them can coexist. Same as Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Meta, these top tech companies exist. These two projects can exist. And what's really important is the bigger these projects become, because they're early first movers, the more mining energy they're going to bring to the network. This is like a race here. So even if there's a future project launched in the future that's super effective and brilliant, because all this mining energy is with these projects already, it's going to be very hard for some of these other projects to take off, because they'll just launch and people won't want to switch their mining energy over to them. They'll want to focus on the projects that are already succeeding. So there's a real possibility for projects like QUBIC, Tau, and even these ones that I mentioned here, NMT, Render, DNX, Filecoin, for all these projects to lock down this whole GPU, CPU, useful proof of work space over the next few years, and just be kind of having a monopoly over it. And then I went on to say that QUBIC is covering so many major areas of crypto. So it covers artificial intelligence. As we know, it's working on developing artificial intelligence solutions through its artificial neural networks. Then it's working on developing artificial general intelligence. Then it covers the area of the GPU and CPU shortage. It then covers the area of green energy and sustainability, which is obviously going to be a huge deal over the next few years. It's this is totally green energy because it's been put to double uses. So it's, in many respects, you can call it like as sustainable of a project as you can think of. Solving the trilemma, which it has, but it's because it's a quorum, it doesn't really solve the blockchain trilemma because it's a quorum technology. Then it's working on the areas of gaming because it's doing this through My Last Match. Then it's working on the areas of betting because it's doing this through Quottery. And then it's a DPIN project, so it's not only decentralized finance, which I haven't even put in there. It's DFIN and DPIN both together. It's useful proof of work. It's the fastest crypto project out there. As far as I'm aware, 40 million transactions per second is by far the fastest crypto project. And it's a layer 1, and really it's a layer 0. So it ticks all these boxes. And most other crypto projects are only focusing on one of these things and not even doing it very well. QUBIC is doing all these things and doing them all super well. And then I just ended by saying, if all that information doesn't make you believe that QUBIC is the number one crypto project out there right now, I'm not sure what will. Now, maybe that's an overtop thing for me to say because I don't like being overly bullish sometimes, but I just want to be positive about this. But if all that stuff right there doesn't make you think that this is the number one project developing right now, I'm not sure what will. So as you can see, I'm just super bullish on QUBIC. And then I went on to see that Alex Becker. So this guy was huge in the kind of make money online space on YouTube and e-commerce space on YouTube. And then he saw the easy money that was available in crypto. And now he's mostly focused on crypto, but still focused kind of on the space of e-commerce. But this guy has built himself up. He's really cool. I like him. A lot of people don't like him, but I like him. But he's really built himself up to the kind of level of being an industry insider. And he probably knows a lot of what's going on before anyone does. And he probably manipulates markets to some extent along the way. Manipulates the markets with whales, this guy. So he said that I've started a few AI ventures the last 2 years. Almost every single time, the bottleneck is processing power and cost. It is literally a matter of months before a big AI startup turns to using crypto to manage its AI, and it'll shift the entire software industry to using crypto to distribute processing power. Again, processing power currently is like water in the desert. Crypto solves much of this in a cost-efficient, easy way. When this happens, the current 20 billion crypto AI market cap will jump to several hundred billion and likely $1 trillion over time. This is such a disgustingly easy 15 by 30x play, or 15 to 30x play. And then I, commented back and just said, what if there was a layer 1/0 project that can handle 40 million transactions per second, where transactions are feeless, and it solves the trilemma, and it's already the 6th largest supercomputer in the world, and it uses that mining power to develop an AGI, would that project stand out as a potential winner? I think it would. And obviously I'm talking about QUBIC there. And I also think all these projects are going to stand out as winners as well, and are great to invest in. And then, this talk of the 6 supercomputer. So I actually asked Come From Beyond, can he give us some information and actually show us, is this true? And he showed the workings to say that this is the 6 supercomputer, and the workings are here basically, and it follows off then at Wikipedia of the top 500 supercomputers out there. So again, pretty epic that QUBIC is one of the top supercomputers. And here is that piece that I thought I'd put into that first slide. So I don't know what was meant to be in that first slide, but yeah, Bit2Me listing will allow users to spend their QUBIC at physical and online stores using MasterCard. And that's a really, really big deal, obviously, huge deal. And again, we're seeing the strategic way that QUBIC is developing these listings. So really, really big deal. So guys, what I recommend doing right now is there's going to be a video that appears on your screen. It's going to be an hour long, but if you guys are serious about QUBIC and you are serious about, you're already an investor or you're thinking of being an investor, you got to watch that video. I mean, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I've put so much research into this project and so much research into that video. You should watch it all the way through, and it's going to explain everything you need to know about QUBIC. And I mean, by the end of that, if you're not convinced that QUBIC is like just an incredible project and probably the top project out there, you gotta, I don't know what to tell you. And then the only bit of FUD that people would ask after that is just, what other useful proof of work projects that are doing this? What about the competitors? And I would just say that none of them compare to QUBIC. They're not as good as QUBIC. They're not layer ones, or not layer ones that are as good as QUBIC, as in DNX. And they're not focused on the artificial general intelligence area. And they're all going to be successful, and there's room for all of these, but QUBIC is the outstanding one by a country mile. So that video will be appearing on screen now. I'll see you all on the outside.